The clicking of expensive heels against marble echoed through the Meridian Center as fashion's elite gathered for the most anticipated event of Boston's design season. The Celestial Collection launch wasn't just another runway show. It was the moment when careers were made, when designers became legends, when the fashion world decided who belonged and who didn't. But sometimes, the most powerful person in the room isn't who you expect. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Olivia Chen stood outside the Meridian Center, her fingers tracing the intricate stonework of the converted textile mill. Once home to laborers who stitched America's fabrics for pennies, the building now hosted the glitterati who sold those same fabrics at astronomical markups. The irony wasn't lost on her. A gentle April breeze carried the scent of the harbor as she adjusted the worn leather messenger bag hanging across her simple gray sweater. No designer labels, no statement accessories, just comfortable black pants and practical flats beneath a woman who knew exactly who she was, even if no one else did. She tucked a strand of chestnut hair behind her ear and checked her watch. A simple timepiece with a cracked leather band that had seen better days. Inside her bag was something precious, a portfolio containing sketches that had consumed her nights for months. Designs that could revolutionize Lumiere fashion house's approach to sustainable luxury if anyone would look past her unassuming exterior. The Meridian Center's grand atrium soared above her as she stepped inside, crystal chandeliers casting prismatic light across the assembled fashion journalists, industry insiders, and celebrities. The space hummed with the particular energy of people who believed their opinions could shape the world, or at least what the world would wear next season. A towering ice sculpture of the Lumiere logo, a stylized flame, dominated the center of the room, surrounded by waiters offering flutes of champagne and hors d'oeuvres too artistic to be filling. Photographers jostled for position, capturing the arrivals of Boston's fashion royalty. No one pointed a camera at Olivia. She approached the check-in desk, where a woman with a sleek blonde bob and an expression that suggested perpetual disappointment tapped at a tablet. Her name badge identified her as Victoria Ellis, event coordinator. "ID and invitation, please," Victoria said without looking up, her crimson nails continuing their staccato against the screen. "Olivia Chen," she said, pulling a folded paper from her bag. "I have an appointment with Camilla Winters before the show. I'm here about the Sustainable Design Initiative." Victoria finally glanced up, her gaze moving from Olivia's practical flats to her unstyled hair with the practiced efficiency of someone who categorized humans like handbags, authentic or knockoff, worth attention or not. Her perfectly lined lips curved into something adjacent to a smile. "Ms. Winters is extremely busy preparing for the show. Who approved this appointment?" Her tone suggested no answer would satisfy her. "Jason Blake confirmed it last week. I have the email." Olivia's voice remained steady as she pulled out her phone. Victoria's eyes narrowed. "Jason Blake, our senior designer, personally arranged for you?" The skepticism in her voice could have cut glass. "Yes, I submitted designs for the Sustainable Initiative. He said Camilla wanted to discuss them before the show." From behind Victoria, a man in an impeccably tailored charcoal suit approached. Jason Blake had the kind of looks that fashion magazines loved. Sharp cheekbones, artfully tousled hair, and the confident stance of someone who had never been told no. "Victoria, is there a problem?" His British accent made every word sound like it should be followed by applause. "This woman claims she has an appointment with Camilla, something about sustainable designs." Victoria's tone made it clear what she thought of both the claim and the concept. Jason's blue eyes landed on Olivia with the intensity of a spotlight. Chen, was it? Let me see. He made a show of checking his phone. I don't recall scheduling anything. What firm are you with? I'm independent, Olivia replied, opening her folder. These are the designs I submitted for. Independent? Jason laughed, the sound like expensive crystal clinking. My dear, Lumiere doesn't work with independent designers who just wander in off the street. We partner with established names, fashion houses with pedigree. Victoria smirked, clearly enjoying the exchange, especially not on the day of our showcase. Olivia persisted, her calm at odds with their condescension. Your sustainability initiative specifically called for fresh perspectives. My designs use innovative techniques to reduce waste while maintaining luxury aesthetics. If you just look, Jason held up a manicured hand. Listen, I appreciate enthusiasm, but this is neither the time nor place. Perhaps you misunderstood an automated response as personal interest. His smile didn't reach his eyes. The exhibition hall is open to the public tomorrow. You can purchase a ticket then. But the email clearly stated, Victoria, is Rebecca around? Perhaps PR can handle this misunderstanding. Jason's tone made it clear the conversation was over in his mind. As if summoned by her name, Rebecca Pierce materialized beside them, her sleek black dress and severe bob, giving her the appearance of an elegant shadow. As Lumiere's PR manager, she specialized in making problems disappear. Is everything all right? Rebecca asked, her voice honey-sweet, but her eyes calculating as they assessed Olivia. This woman seems confused about how one gets invited to exclusive industry events, Jason explained, with exaggerated patience. Claims she has a meeting with Camilla about some drawings. Rebecca's professional smile remained fixed as she addressed Olivia. I handle all of Ms. Winter's appointments, and I can assure you there's nothing on her calendar regarding unsolicited design submissions. Especially not today. Olivia opened her bag again, retrieving the printed email. This confirmation says, differently. Rebecca barely glanced at it. Anyone can forge an email header, dear, though I'm not sure what you hope to accomplish. Security is quite thorough. At the mention of security, a broad-shouldered man in a dark suit emerged from the crowd, positioning himself at Rebecca's elbow. Is there a problem, Ms. Pierce? Just a misunderstanding, Frank. This person was just leaving. Olivia stood her ground, dignity intact despite the growing discomfort of being the center of unwanted attention. The email is genuine. I was invited to present sustainable design concepts that could save Lumiere millions in production costs, while reducing environmental impact by 30%. Jason exchanged glances with Rebecca, amusement dancing in his eyes. Millions, based on sketches from someone who clearly shops at... Where is that sweater from? Target's clearance section. Rebecca didn't bother hiding her laugh. The sustainability department is a PR exercise, darling. It makes for good press. But Lumiere is about luxury, not saving trees. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Victoria joined in, her voice carrying enough to attract the attention of nearby guests. If we took advice from every idealistic fashion school dropout with a sketchbook, we'd be selling hemp sacks. Olivia didn't flinch. My background is in materials engineering and design. These concepts have been tested and proven effective. If Ms. Winters would just... That's quite enough. A new voice cut through the conversation like an expensive knife. Camilla Winters, fashion director of Lumiere, approached with the deliberate grace of a jungle cat. Her silver-streaked black hair was pulled into a severe bun, her burgundy suit immaculately fitted, her presence commanding enough to part the crowd without effort. Ms. Winters, Olivia began, thank you for... I don't know who you are or how you got past the door. Camilla interrupted, but I can assure you I didn't agree to meet with anyone about sustainable designs today. The way she pronounced sustainable made it sound like a communicable disease. But the email is clearly a mistake, Camilla finished for her. Jason, who approved this? Jason adopted a look of professional concern. No one on our team. Perhaps a system error or a miscommunication. Andrew Hoffman, Lumiere's creative director, drifted toward their increasingly visible confrontation. Tall and rail-thin, with dramatic silver glasses, he surveyed the scene with undisguised disdain. "What's happening here?" he asked, though his tone suggested he didn't particularly care about the answer. "Someone confused about the difference between a professional design submission and arts and crafts hour," Rebecca explained with a smirk. Andrew barely glanced at Olivia's portfolio. "We have standards, processes. You don't just walk into Lumiere with a sketchbook and expect runway time." The circle had tightened around her now. Camilla, Jason, Rebecca, Victoria, and Andrew. Fashions. Power players forming a wall of designer clothing and collective disdain. Camilla addressed the security guard. "Frank, please escort our uninvited guest out. And Victoria, make sure the guest list is properly vetted next time. We can't have just anyone wandering in claiming appointments." Olivia remained composed. Even as Frank stepped forward, "Ms. Winters, if you'd take just 5 minutes to look at these designs..." "My dear," Camilla's voice dripped with false sympathy, "do you know how many aspiring designers would kill to have 5 minutes of my time? People with actual credentials, actual experience, actual talent?" Jason snickered. "People who understand that fashion isn't about good intentions and amateur sketches." Olivia stood straighter. "These designs aren't amateur. They represent a genuine innovation in..." "Innovation?" Andrew interjected. "In that outfit? You're hardly a walking advertisement for design expertise." Victoria laughed openly now. "Maybe she's undercover, secret fashion police." The group's laughter rippled outward, drawing more attention. Nearby conversations quieted as Boston's fashion elite turned to observe the spectacle. Rebecca stepped closer, lowering her voice to a stage whisper. "Look, this is embarrassing for everyone. Take your little drawings and try a community college fashion show. Lumiere isn't the place for whatever this is." She gestured vaguely at Olivia's entire existence. Frank gripped Olivia's elbow, his touch professional but firm. "Ma'am, I need to escort you out now." Olivia carefully closed her portfolio. "You're making a mistake." "The only mistake," Camilla said coldly, "was whatever glitch in our system allowed you to think you belonged here. Fashion is art, business, and heritage combined, not a hobby for well-meaning amateurs." As Frank guided her toward the exit, Jason called after her, "The Boston Community Center has a lovely crafting circle on Thursdays. Perhaps more your speed." The assembled group laughed, the sound following Olivia as she was marched through the glittering crowd. Whispers and stares tracked her journey to the door, the woman who didn't belong, being removed like an unsightly stain from Lumiere's perfect image. At the grand entrance, Frank released her arm. "Don't try to come back in," he warned, his voice not unkind but firm. "They've flagged your name in the system." Olivia nodded, her composure intact despite the public humiliation. "Thank you for being professional about this." As she turned to leave, Rebecca appeared at her side, having followed them to ensure Olivia's complete removal. "One more thing," she said, plucking the portfolio from Olivia's hands. "That's my..." "Work," Olivia protested, reaching for it. Rebecca held it away. "Anything submitted to Lumiere becomes company property. Standard procedure. We wouldn't want these ideas circulating elsewhere with claims they were meant for us." Her smile was venomous. "Legal complications, you understand." Before Olivia could respond. Rebecca handed the portfolio to a passing waiter. "Take this to my office, please." She turned back to Olivia. "Don't worry, we shred all rejected submissions. Environmentally friendly disposal, of course, since you're so concerned about sustainability." With that final twist of the knife, Rebecca returned to the party, leaving Olivia standing alone outside the magnificent doors of the Meridian Center. The April evening had turned cooler, or perhaps it was just the chill of rejection that made her pull her simple sweater tighter around herself. She walked down the granite steps, each footfall measured and deliberate. No tears, no outbursts, just the quiet dignity of someone who knew her worth wasn't determined by others' assessments. At the bottom, she paused and looked back at the historic building glowing with expensive light, the silhouettes of fashion's elite visible through the windows. Olivia pulled out her phone. Not the latest model, its case practical rather than stylish, and made a call. "Daniel," she said when the line connected. It was exactly as we expected. The spring air carried her words away as she walked from the Meridian Center, her practical flats making no sound on the cobblestone street. Behind her, the fashion show preparations continued, none of the glittering attendees sparing a thought. For the unremarkable woman they had so eagerly expelled, none of them knowing she would return. Inside, the atmosphere had already reset to its previous exclusivity, the brief disruption forgotten as quickly as last season's trends. Camilla gathered her team in a quiet corner of the venue, away from the journalists and influencers, documenting every moment. "Is everything prepared for the finale?" she asked, surveying them with the critical eye that had made her legendary in the industry. "Absolutely," Jason confirmed. "The mystery designer segment is generating massive buzz. Everyone's speculating about who we've partnered with." Rebecca nodded in agreement. "The press is salivating. I've dropped just enough hints to fuel speculation without revealing anything. Social media is ablaze with theories." "Good." Camilla's thin smile revealed nothing of her thoughts. "And the collection itself?" Andrew adjusted his dramatic glasses, ready for the runway. "The pieces are revolutionary. Exactly what we needed to position Lumiere as forward-thinking while maintaining our luxury status." "And the investors?" Camilla pressed. Victoria consulted her tablet. "All confirmed for the after-party, including Harrison Fund and Black Peak Capital. They're particularly interested in the mystery designer reveal." "Perfect." Camilla glanced around the venue, satisfaction evident in her controlled expression. "This collection will secure our position for years to come, and all of your bonuses." She let this last point hang in the air, a reminder of what was at stake. The team dispersed, each to their assigned positions as the venue filled with fashion's most influential voices. Critics who could destroy careers with a paragraph, buyers who controlled access to the world's most exclusive retailers, celebrities whose endorsement could make a collection sell out overnight. The lights dimmed precisely. On schedule, the murmur of conversation fading as spotlights illuminated the runway. Camilla took the microphone, her voice commanding immediate attention. "Welcome to the unveiling of Lumiere Fashion House's Celestial Collection. Tonight, we redefine the boundaries between sustainability and luxury, between tradition and innovation. Tonight, we introduce not just new designs, but a new era." Applause rippled through the audience as music began to pulse. Models emerged one by one, each garment more striking than the last. Fabrics that seemed to capture and release light. Silhouettes that challenged conventional expectations while remaining wearable. Details that demonstrated mastery of craft. In the front row, critics leaned forward in their seats, phones lifted, to capture moments certain to dominate fashion coverage for weeks. The collection was undeniably magnificent. As the initial set of models completed their circuit, Camilla returned to the microphone. "What you've seen is only the beginning. For the finale, we present a groundbreaking capsule collection created in collaboration with a visionary designer who will reshape the industry's approach to sustainable luxury. A buzz of excitement ran through the crowd. The mystery designer reveal was the moment everyone had been waiting for, the centerpiece of Lumiere's marketing strategy. A designer, Camilla continued, who understands that true innovation doesn't sacrifice beauty for principle, but finds ways to elevate both simultaneously. The music shifted, growing more intense as the lights lowered further. When they rose again, the audience gasped collectively. The final designs were unlike anything Lumiere had ever presented, simultaneously avant-garde and timelessly elegant, technically complex yet visually clean. Fabrics moved like liquid, colors shifted subtly under different angles of light. Structures held impossible shapes with apparent weightlessness. Each piece told a story of craftsmanship meeting cutting-edge technology, of luxury reinvented for a new generation. As the final model disappeared backstage, Camilla returned to center stage, the spotlight creating a halo around her sleek figure. These revolutionary designs represent the future of Lumiere, a future where excellence and ethics coexist brilliantly. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. It is my great pleasure to introduce the visionary behind our sustainable luxury initiative, the designer who will lead Lumiere into its next chapter of innovation. The audience held its collective breath. Rumors had circulated for weeks about which established name might have partnered with the prestigious house. The runway remained empty for a dramatic moment, then footsteps. A figure emerged from the shadows, not in dramatic couture, but in the same simple grey sweater and practical black pants from earlier, the same worn flats, the same unassuming presence. Olivia Chen walked the runway with quiet confidence, her chestnut hair now loose around her shoulders, her posture relaxed but commanding. No flashy transformation, no concession to the industry's expectations, just the woman they had thrown out hours before, now commanding the most coveted spotlight in Boston fashion. The audience's confusion was palpable. Critics leaned toward each other, whispering furiously. Fashion editors frowned at their programs, certain they had missed something crucial. In the wings, Camilla's face drained of color. Jason's mouth hung open inelegantly. Rebecca clutched her tablet so tightly her knuckles turned white. Victoria froze, mid-text. Andrew removed his dramatic glasses as if they were somehow deceiving him. Olivia stopped center stage, directly under the brightest spotlight, and accepted the microphone from a visibly shaken Camilla. "Good evening," she said, her voice clear and strong. "I'm Olivia Chen, Chief Innovation Officer and Principal Shareholder of Lumiere Fashion House." The pronouncement landed like a thunderclap in the silent room. Confusion morphed into shock as dozens of the industry's most knowledgeable insiders processed this impossible claim. "Some of you know me as Liv Reynolds," she continued, though clearly not everyone here made the connection. At the mention of the name Reynolds, recognition dawned on the faces of the older industry veterans. Whispers erupted, spreading through the audience like wildfire. In the wings, Jason gripped Rebecca's arm. "Reynolds? As in Daniel Reynolds?" Rebecca's face had gone ashen. The billionaire tech founder who bought Lumiere 3 months ago in a private acquisition. Victoria frantically tapped at her tablet. "Why didn't we know? How did we miss this?" Andrew whispered hoarsely. "We're finished. Completely finished." On stage, Olivia continued with the same quiet confidence she had shown, even while being humiliated earlier. "The designs you just witnessed represent Lumiere's new direction. Genuine sustainability without compromising luxury, innovation without abandoning craftsmanship, forward-thinking business practices that honor both our planet and our heritage." She paused, looking directly at the team huddled in the wings. These are the same designs that were dismissed this afternoon as amateur sketches and arts and crafts hour. The same portfolio that was confiscated and scheduled for shredding. Gasps rippled through the audience. Fashion journalists began typing frantically on their phones. Fortunately, Olivia added with the faintest hint of a smile, I had backup copies. From the back of the venue, a tall figure approached the Runway. Daniel Reynolds, tech visionary and one of Boston's wealthiest entrepreneurs, walked with purpose toward his wife. Unlike Olivia, he had dressed for the occasion in an impeccably tailored suit, his presence commanding immediate respect. He joined Olivia on stage, taking her hand in a gesture of solidarity that wasn't lost on anyone. 3 months ago, Daniel said, his voice carrying without effort, I acquired Lumiere with a vision of transforming it into the industry leader in sustainable luxury. My wife, Dr. Olivia Chen Reynolds, with her dual expertise in materials engineering and design, developed the concepts that became the Celestial Collection. He surveyed the audience, his expression grave. Today's reception of my wife, when she arrived to oversee final preparations, was deeply illuminating. It showed us exactly which members of the current leadership team understand Lumiere's future and which remain trapped in outdated thinking. In the wings, Camilla tried to compose herself, smoothing her burgundy suit with trembling hands. This is a misunderstanding. We didn't know. That's precisely the point, Olivia interrupted, her voice finally betraying a hint of steel. You didn't know because you didn't look. You saw only what you expected to see. A woman without the right clothes, the right accessories, the right pedigree. You never once looked at the actual designs, the actual ideas, the actual innovation. Daniel nodded. We wanted to understand the authentic culture at Lumiere, not what people would show a visiting owner, but how the team actually operates when they believe no one important is watching. The spotlight shifted, illuminating. The wings where Camilla, Jason, Rebecca, Victoria, and Andrew stood frozen in horror. What we witnessed, Daniel continued, was a culture of arrogance, exclusion, and short-sightedness. Precisely the opposite of the values that will drive fashion forward in the coming decades. Olivia reclaimed the microphone. Lumiere began as a house dedicated to innovation, to beauty that transcended superficial trends. Somewhere along the way, it became exactly what it once disrupted, an institution more concerned with status than substance. She gestured to the designs still being displayed on large screens around the venue. These concepts represent a return to Lumiere's original vision, updated for our current challenges. They reduce material waste by 40%, incorporate revolutionary techniques for zero-waste pattern cutting, and utilize fabrics developed in our own laboratories that decompose harmlessly after their fashion life cycle. Daniel addressed the audience directly. As of tomorrow morning, Lumiere Fashion House will begin a comprehensive restructuring of its creative and executive leadership. Some positions, his gaze moved deliberately to the team in the wings, will be eliminated immediately. The implications weren't lost on anyone. Fashion was an industry built on reputation, and tonight's events would follow Camilla, Jason, Rebecca, Victoria, and Andrew long after they cleared out their offices. Others, Olivia added, will be elevated. Those who understood that fashion's future lies in genuine innovation, not gatekeeping. Those who recognize that good ideas can come from unexpected sources. As if on cue, several junior designers and associates emerged from backstage, joining Olivia and Daniel on the runway. Young, diverse, visibly emotional at their sudden prominence. These were the hidden architects who had helped bring Olivia's vision to life while their superiors dismissed her. The audience, recovering from their shock, began to applaud. Tentatively at first, then with growing enthusiasm as they recognized they were witnessing not just a power shift, but a pivotal moment in fashion history. cameras flashed incessantly. The same journalists who had ignored Olivia's entrance now clamored for quotes. Critics who specialized in predicting the next big thing scrambled to position themselves as early champions of this new direction. In the wings, security personnel approached the former leadership team. Not to remove them forcibly, that wasn't the Reynolds style, but to escort them to a private exit away from the media storm brewing in the main hall. As they passed Olivia, Camilla attempted one last salvage of her dignity. "If you had simply identified yourself properly, then I wouldn't have seen who you truly are," Olivia replied quietly. "And that information was worth more than any courtesy you might have falsely extended to the boss's wife." The five departed in stunned silence, their carefully constructed world collapsing around them. Decades of networking, maneuvering, and status building undone in a single evening by a woman in a grey sweater and practical flats. Daniel addressed the audience one final time. "The after-party will proceed as planned in the North Hall. I hope you'll join us to celebrate not just tonight's collection, but a new chapter for Lumiere Fashion House." As the crowd moved toward the North Hall, buzzing with the evening's unexpected drama, Olivia remained on the runway for a moment. She wasn't gloating, wasn't playing to the cameras, still capturing her every move. Instead, she seemed to be taking a quiet inventory of the space, of the moment, of the shift she had just initiated. Daniel returned to her side, away from the pub. "Microphones now." "You okay?" he asked softly. "Yes," she said, her eyes clear and focused. "It wasn't about revenge, you know." He nodded. "It was about finding the right people and removing the wrong ones." Olivia looked toward the exit where Camilla and her team had disappeared. "They'll land somewhere. People like that always do." "But with a valuable lesson learned," Daniel added. Olivia straightened her simple grey sweater, the garment that had been so derided hours earlier. "Maybe, but the important thing is that Lumiere can become what it should be now." Daniel smiled, offering his arm. "Ready to meet your team? The real one?" She accepted, and together they walked toward the celebration, leaving behind the spotlight but carrying its illumination with them. The simple woman who had been thrown out of a fashion show had not only returned to own the runway, she had redefined what the runway would mean for years to come. 6 months passed since the night that sent shockwaves through Boston's fashion industry. The Meridian Center's grand ballroom hosted a different kind of gathering now, the semi-annual board meeting of Lumiere Fashion House. Sunlight streamed through restored industrial windows, illuminating a long table where Olivia Chen Reynolds sat at the head, reviewing quarterly reports. Gone was the chaotic energy of runway preparations, replaced by the focused atmosphere of strategic planning. The room still held the echoes of that infamous night, but the whispers had transformed from mockery to reverence. Olivia wore a simple, black turtleneck and tailored pants, still no designer labels, still no ostentatious accessories. Her chestnut hair was pulled back in a sleek ponytail, her only adornment a pair of minimalist silver earrings that caught the light as she turned pages. Her practical approach to fashion hadn't changed with her public status. If anything, it had become her signature. The boardroom door opened, and Mia Santos entered, carrying a stack of portfolios. Once a junior designer who'd helped realize Olivia's vision, while her superiors dismissed it, Mia now served as Lumiere's design director. Her meteoric rise mirrored the company's transformation, both guided by recognizing substance over surface. "The final numbers from the Celestial Collection," Mia announced, distributing the portfolios around the table. Sales exceeded projections by 43%. The sustainable manufacturing methods reduced costs by 28%, and the press coverage. She smiled, sliding a tablet toward Olivia. "Unprecedented. The screen displayed headlines from fashion's most influential publications. Lumiere revolutionizes luxury sustainability. Fashion's new North Star, how Olivia Chen transformed Lumiere. The grey sweater revolution, substance returns to style. Olivia nodded, satisfaction in her eyes but no hint of gloating. And the apprenticeship program? Over 2,000 applications for 20 positions, Mia replied. The most diverse, a candidate pool in Lumiere's history. The boardroom filled as other team members arrived, all new faces, all selected for talent rather than connections, many promoted from within after the restructuring. Olivia had kept her promise to elevate those who understood fashion's future lay in innovation, not gatekeeping. Daniel Reynolds was the last to enter, dressed in a simple navy suit that complemented his wife's understated elegance. As a tech entrepreneur now involved in fashion, he'd embraced the industry's creative aspects while bringing analytical rigor to its business practices. "Sorry I'm late," he said, taking the seat beside Olivia. "The construction team needed approval on the community workshop space." Olivia smiled. Under her direction, Lumiere was renovating a defunct textile factory in Boston's struggling Riverside district. Once completed, it would provide training facilities for aspiring designers from underrepresented communities, people with talent, but without the privileged pathways that traditionally led to fashion careers. "Now that we're all here," Olivia began, "let's discuss the fall collection rollout." The meeting proceeded with the efficiency of people united by a clear vision. No politics, no posturing, just the collaborative energy of professionals respected for their contributions. The contrast with Lumiere's previous culture couldn't have been starker. As the meeting concluded, Olivia's assistant Edgar appeared at the door. "Ms. Chen, there's a situation that requires your attention." Olivia excused herself, following Edgar to her office, a space as practical as her wardrobe, with walls lined with material samples and design prototypes, rather than fashion awards or celebrity photos. "What's happening?" she asked, settling. Behind her desk, Edgar hesitated. "Victoria Ellis is in the lobby." Olivia's expression remained neutral, but her posture stiffened slightly. Victoria, the former event coordinator who had participated in her humiliation 6 months earlier, hadn't been heard from since that night. "What does she want?" "She's requesting 5 minutes of your time." Edgar's disapproval was evident in his tone. "She appears different." Olivia considered this. Different how? Less. Edgar searched for the diplomatic word. "Polished." Olivia nodded. "Send her up. And Edgar, give us privacy but stay nearby." Edgar departed, his protective instincts visible in the set of his shoulders. Moments later, a knock at the door preceded Victoria's entrance. The transformation was indeed stark. Gone was the sleek blonde bob, replaced by grown-out hair with visible dark roots. Her previously immaculate makeup had been reduced to basic essentials, applied with less precision. The designer clothing she once wore like armor had been exchanged for a department store blazer that hung slightly too loose on her frame. But the most notable change was in her demeanor. The imperious confidence had vanished, replaced by an anxious energy that manifested in fidgeting hands and darting eyes. "Thank you for seeing me," Victoria said, remaining standing despite the chair Olivia gestured toward. "I know you have every reason to refuse." "Why are you here, Victoria?" Olivia asked, neither warm nor cold, simply direct. Victoria finally sat, perching on the edge of the chair as if prepared to flee. "I've been trying to find work in the industry for 6 months. No one will touch me. Not in Boston, not in New York, not even in LA. Her laugh held no humor. "It turns out, when Lumiere blacklists you, doors don't just close, they disappear." Olivia studied her. "And you're here because I need a job," Victoria admitted, her voice cracking slightly. "Any job. I'm 3 weeks away from eviction. My savings are gone. My industry contacts won't return my calls." "There are other industries," Olivia pointed out. Victoria nodded. "I've applied. Retail, hospitality, corporate event planning. But 20 years in fashion is all I know, and without references." She trailed off. "The moment they Google me, all they find are articles about that night, about how we treated you." Olivia leaned back in her chair, her expression unreadable. "And what exactly are you asking of me, Victoria?" "A second chance." The words seemed to physically pain her. Not as an executive, not even in a visible role, just something, anything. "Why should I?" Olivia's question wasn't cruel, merely pragmatic. "You were part of a toxic culture that deliberately humiliated people based on appearance. You laughed when my portfolio was confiscated. You joked about me being security undercover." Victoria flinched at each point, unable to deny any of it. "I know, and I deserve every consequence. But I've had 6 months to reflect on the person I became in that environment." She met Olivia's gaze directly for the first time. "I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking if your vision for changing fashion includes the possibility that people can change too." Olivia didn't respond immediately. She rose and walked to the window, looking out at Boston Harbor, the early autumn sunlight glinting off the water. "What happened to the others?" she asked finally. "Camilla, Jason, Rebecca, Andrew?" Victoria's shoulders slumped. "Camilla moved to Miami, working retail at a boutique owned by a former client. Jason tried to launch his own line, but the investors pulled out when the Lumiere story broke. Last I heard, he's teaching basic sewing at a community college in Providence." She paused. "Rebecca and Andrew fared better. Rebecca's handling PR for a small sustainable brand in Chicago. Ironic, given how she mocked your sustainability focus. Andrew's doing freelance consulting, though at a fraction of his former fee." Olivia turned back to face her. "And none of them reached out to you?" "We're reminders of each other's fall." Victoria's composure cracked further. "It's easier to pretend that night never happened." Olivia returned to her desk, pressed the intercom. "Edgar, please come in." Victoria tensed, anticipating security's arrival to escort her out, a mirror of what she had orchestrated months ago. Edgar appeared at the door, notepad ready. "Yes, Ms. Chen Reynolds. Please contact Iris in manufacturing. Tell her I'm sending someone for the quality control assistant position she mentioned yesterday." Edgar glanced at Victoria, surprise briefly crossing his face before his professional mask returned. "Of course. Anything else?" "Have HR prepare the standard probationary contract." Olivia's gaze remained on Victoria, whose expression had transformed from resignation to disbelief. 3 months, with weekly performance reviews. "Right away." Edgar nodded, departing as quietly as he'd arrived. Victoria seemed unable to process what had just happened. "You're hiring me. I'm giving you an opportunity to prove yourself in a role where your skills might transfer, but where your previous approach to fashion will be irrelevant," Olivia clarified. "Quality control in our sustainable manufacturing division means ensuring ethical production methods are followed, that materials meet our environmental standards, that working conditions remain humane. It's fashion stripped to its functional core, the opposite of the image-obsessed world you cultivated." Victoria nodded rapidly, tears threatening. "I understand. Thank you, I won't." Olivia held up a hand. "This isn't charity, Victoria. The position pays entry-level wages. The hours are long. You'll report to people who previously would have fetched your coffee. And at the first sign that you haven't truly changed, The first moment of dismissing someone based on appearance or background, you're out permanently. I understand, Victoria repeated, her voice steadier now. One more thing, Olivia added. As part of your probation, you'll volunteer 8 hours weekly at our Riverside District training program, teaching event coordination fundamentals to aspiring professionals from disadvantaged backgrounds. Victoria blinked, processing this final requirement. You want me to teach? I want you to give back some of the privilege you've enjoyed, Olivia corrected, and perhaps learn something from students who've never had the advantages you took for granted. After Victoria departed, dazed but clutching the HR paperwork like a lifeline, Daniel appeared in the doorway of Olivia's office. I heard we have a new quality control assistant, he said, leaning against the doorframe. Edgar's expression when he told me was priceless. Olivia smiled faintly. You disagree with my decision? Not at all. Daniel crossed the room, perching on the edge of her desk. It's perfectly aligned with everything you've built here. I'm just curious about your reasoning. Redemption shouldn't be exclusive to those who can afford it, Olivia said simply. Victoria needed a lesson in humility. She's had 6 months of that. Now she needs a chance to apply what she's learned. Daniel nodded. And the others, if they come knocking? The same opportunity with the same conditions. Olivia turned back to the design spread across her desk. This was never about revenge, Daniel. It was about changing an industry that values appearance over substance. Starting with the people who most embodied that problem, he concluded with a smile. The story of Victoria's return and Olivia's unexpected response spread through Lumiere's headquarters by afternoon. It reinforced what employees already understood about their unusual CEO, that her principles extended beyond sustainable materials to sustainable human relationships. That evening, as autumn darkness fell early over Boston, Olivia worked late. In her office, reviewing prototypes for Lumiere's community workshop program, a knock interrupted her concentration. Come in, she called, expecting Edgar with the final reports. Instead, Mia entered, carrying a garment bag. I have something to show you before the charity gala tomorrow. Olivia checked her watch, surprised by the hour. It's almost 9, Mia. This could have waited until morning. Not this, Mia insisted, hanging the bag on Olivia's office door. The design team has been working on it for weeks. She unzipped the bag to reveal a deceptively simple evening gown. At first glance, it appeared to be a classic silhouette in a deep charcoal gray. But as Mia moved it under the light, the fabric revealed subtle complexity, catching light in unexpected ways, showing whispers of color embedded in the weave. It's made entirely from our regenerated textile process, Mia explained, pride evident in her voice. The material began as fashion industry waste destined for landfill. We broke it down to fiber level and reconstructed it using the process you developed. Olivia touched the fabric, appreciating its quality. It's beautiful work, Mia, the sustainable luxury we've been aiming for. We call it the Olivia, Mia said, watching her mentor's face. And we'd be honored if you'd wear it to the Metropolitan Museum benefit tomorrow. The industry will be watching, and this dress embodies everything Lumiere stands for now. Olivia examined the garment more closely, noting the impeccable construction, the thoughtful details. It's perfect for the event. Thank you. After Mia left, Olivia stood before the dress, contemplating what it represented. Not just sustainable innovation, but the transformation of an entire company culture. A testament to valuing substance over surface appearance while refusing to sacrifice beauty. The following evening, Boston's elite gathered at the Museum of Fine Arts for the annual Metropolitan Benefit Gala. The event had always attracted fashion's power players, but this year carried special significance. It was Olivia Chen Reynolds' first major public appearance since the Celestial Collection launch had redefined Lumiere. The museum's grand staircase served as an informal runway as attendees made their entrances. Society photographers lined the velvet ropes, capturing each arrival for style blogs and social media. Critics clustered in corners, analyzing hemlines and color choices as if deciphering secret codes. Midway through the arrivals, a ripple of recognition passed through the crowd. Daniel Reynolds appeared at the top of the stairs, handsome in a classic tuxedo. Beside him stood Olivia, wearing the regenerated textile gown. Under the museum's artistic lighting, the dress revealed its true nature, simultaneously understated and extraordinary, much like its wearer. As they descended, photographers called Olivia's name, experts pointed out the innovative construction to their companions, and industry veterans who had witnessed the Lumiere transformation watched with new respect. Near the bottom of the staircase, a familiar figure stood partially hidden behind a massive floral arrangement. Rebecca Pierce, former PR manager of Lumiere, now working for a small Chicago brand, watched Olivia's entrance with complex emotions evident on her face. Beside her stood a man Olivia recognized as the founder of the sustainable company that had hired Rebecca after her fall. Rebecca's new employer nudged her forward as Olivia and Daniel reached the bottom step. "Ms. Chen Reynolds," he said warmly, extending his hand to Olivia. "Clark Bennett, Emerald Thread. Your work at Lumiere has been revolutionary." Olivia accepted his handshake. "Thank you, Mr. Bennett. I admire what Emerald Thread is doing with compostable textiles." "That's largely due to our PR director's persistence," Clark replied, gesturing to Rebecca. "She convinced me your sustainability approach wasn't just good ethics, but good business." Rebecca stepped forward, visibly uncomfortable but professional. "Ms. Chen Reynolds, congratulations on the Celestial Collection's success." The moment hung between them. Rebecca, who had mocked Olivia's sustainable vision, now representing a company built entirely on that principle. The irony wasn't lost on either woman. "Thank you, Rebecca," Olivia replied evenly. "I understand Emerald Thread's media coverage has improved significantly in recent months." Rebecca nodded, a flush creeping up her neck. "Yes, we've focused on transparency in production methods, following Lumiere's example." Clark beamed, oblivious to the undercurrents. "Rebecca's been instrumental in helping us communicate our mission, though I admit we'd love to collaborate with Lumiere on larger initiatives." Daniel, sensing an opportunity, engaged Clark in conversation about potential partnerships, strategically drawing him a few steps away and leaving Olivia and Rebecca in a moment of privacy. "I owe you an apology," Rebecca said quietly once her boss was out of earshot. "What happened that night at the Meridian? I've replayed it 1,000 times." Olivia studied her former antagonist. Unlike Victoria, Rebecca had landed on her, a feat professionally, but the woman before her lacked the cutting arrogance that had once defined her. This Rebecca spoke with careful consideration, her previously performative confidence replaced by something more authentic. "I heard you hired Victoria," Rebecca continued when Olivia didn't immediately respond. "That was unexpected." "People deserve second chances when they're willing to earn them," Olivia said simply. Rebecca nodded. "I've been trying to earn mine by proving sustainable fashion deserves serious PR attention, by using what I know to advance the cause I once dismissed." "And how has that been?" Olivia asked, genuine curiosity in her tone, humbling. Rebecca's laugh held self-deprecation rather than mockery now. "My first month, I couldn't tell bamboo fiber from conventional cotton. Now I can give a 30-minute presentation on the water conservation benefits of modal processing." Olivia's expression softened slightly. Sounds like you found your way to contribute meaningfully. Thanks to you, Rebecca admitted. After that night, when no major fashion house would touch me, Clark took a chance because he needed someone with industry connections. But he made it clear I had to believe in the mission, not just promote it. Before Olivia could respond, a museum official approached, requesting her presence for the evening's opening remarks. As she moved to leave, Rebecca spoke again. Miss Chen Reynolds, your dress, is it from the new collection? Olivia nodded. A prototype, reconstructed waste materials. It's extraordinary, Rebecca said. Professional assessment replacing personal history. The industry will be talking about it for months. That's the plan, Olivia replied with the hint of a smile. As she walked away, Olivia reflected on the encounter. Rebecca had found her own path to redemption without Olivia's direct intervention. Like Victoria, she'd been forced to confront the consequences of her actions. But she'd adapted rather than crumbled, applying her skills to advance the very principles she'd once mocked. The gala proceeded with the expected pageantry. Olivia delivered a brief speech about fashion's responsibility to environmental stewardship. Daniel charmed potential investors, and Lumiere's new team members circulated, embodying the company's transformed ethos. Near midnight, as the event wound down, Olivia stepped onto the museum's terrace for a moment of quiet. Boston's skyline glittered against the autumn night, a cool breeze carrying the distant sound of harbor bells. Quite different from thrift store sweaters and worn flats, isn't it? Olivia turned to find Jason Blake leaning against the stone balustrade, a champagne flute dangling from his fingers. The former senior designer had lost weight, his once perfect suit replaced by a serviceable but unremarkable blazer. His hair, previously styled with precision, now fell in careless waves. "Jason," she acknowledged, neither welcoming nor dismissive. "I heard you're teaching now." He grimaced. "Word travels fast." "Yes, basic pattern making at Riverside Community College, a far cry from Lumiere's design studios." "Teaching is valuable work," Olivia observed. A diplomatic response. Jason took a sip of champagne. "Though we both know I'm there because no design house will hire me after what happened." Olivia didn't contradict him. "Why are you here tonight, Jason?" He gestured vaguely at the gala. "Behind them. Clark Bennett invited me. We were at Central St. Martin's together years ago. He thought I might connect with potential employers here." His laugh held a bitter edge. "He didn't realize my reputation preceded me." Olivia studied him. Unlike Victoria's desperate plea or Rebecca's professional adaptation, Jason seemed caught between defiance and defeat, acknowledging his fall without fully accepting responsibility for it. "And have you," she asked, "connected with anyone?" "Only stares and whispers." He straightened, summoning a shadow of his former confidence. "I didn't come to ask for your help, if that's what you're thinking. I'm aware that ship has sailed." "Then why approach me?" Jason looked out at the city lights. "Curiosity, perhaps, to see what Lumiere became after we were removed." "And what do you see?" "Success," he admitted reluctantly. "The sustainability concept I dismissed as amateur idealism has apparently revolutionized luxury fashion. Your reconstructed textile gown is already being photographed as the evening's highlight." He paused. "Quite the vindication for you." "This was never about vindication, Jason." Olivia's tone remained level. It was about creating a fashion house that valued substance over surface, that recognized good ideas, regardless of their packaging. "A lesson I learned too late." He finished his champagne. "My students are primarily working adults trying to enter the industry through back channels. No connections, no prestigious school backgrounds, just raw talent and determination." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "And how do you find teaching them?" "Initially humiliating," Jason admitted. "Now, unexpectedly rewarding. They create without industry preconceptions. Their work has an authenticity I'd forgotten existed. His words held a genuineness that surprised her, the first indication that his experience had prompted genuine reflection, rather than mere regret at being caught. Lumiere is launching a design mentorship program at our new Riverside facility, Olivia said, the decision forming as she spoke. We're looking for instructors with industry experience who can guide promising talents from non-traditional backgrounds. Jason stared at her, disbelief evident. You can't seriously be offering me a position. I'm offering you an interview, Olivia clarified, with our education director. If your teaching experience has genuinely changed your perspective, if you're truly committed to nurturing talent regardless of its packaging, then perhaps your skills could serve our mission. Why would you even consider it after what I said to you that day? Because this isn't about you or me, Jason. It's about transforming an industry. If your fall from grace has made you a better mentor to emerging designers, particularly those the industry typically overlooks, then your experience becomes valuable in a different way. Jason seemed unable to formulate a response, his practiced poise abandoned in genuine surprise. Think about it, Olivia concluded. Contact Edgar at my office if you're interested. She left him on the terrace, returning to the gala where Daniel waited with knowing eyes. He'd observed the interaction from a distance, respecting her space but remaining watchful. Another redemption opportunity, he asked quietly as she rejoined him. Perhaps, Olivia replied, if he's actually learned from his mistakes. And if he hasn't, then he won't pass the interview. She accepted a glass of water from a passing server. But everyone deserves the chance to prove they've changed. As the evening concluded, industry elites departed with Olivia's regenerated textile gown imprinted in their consciousness, a symbol of Lumiere's new direction. What they couldn't see was the deeper transformation occurring through her encounters with those who had once dismissed her. Each interaction demonstrated the principles now at Lumiere's core, that value transcends appearance, that substance outlasts style, and that true redemption requires both accountability and opportunity. In her simple office the following morning, Olivia reviewed the night's press coverage. Images of the Olivia gown dominated fashion media, with critics hailing it as a milestone in sustainable luxury. But more gratifying were the reports focusing on Lumiere's business transformation. The apprenticeship programs, the ethical manufacturing initiatives, the design mentorships that would open doors previously sealed shut for talents lacking privileged pathways. Daniel appeared in her doorway holding 2 coffee cups. The Times is calling it fashion's ethical revolution, he noted, placing her cup on the desk. Led by a woman who was once thrown out of her own company's show. Olivia smiled slightly. History has a sense of irony. As do you, he countered, settling into the chair opposite her desk. First Victoria, now potentially Jason. Are you collecting the complete set? I'm recognizing that true change requires converting skeptics, not just punishing them. Olivia sipped her coffee, and giving second chances to those willing to earn them. Daniel studied his remarkable wife, the engineering mind that had revolutionized textile production, the design vision that had redefined luxury aesthetics, the ethical compass that guided every decision. All contained in a woman who still preferred practical flats to status symbols, substance to spectacle. What about the others? He asked. Andrew? Camilla? If they come seeking redemption through contribution, they'll receive the same opportunity, Olivia replied. This was never about revenge, Daniel. No, he agreed, a smile playing at his lips. It was about transformation, of an industry, of a company culture. He gestured toward the window, where Boston spread beneath them. and of the people who once embodied everything that needed to change. Through the glass wall of her office, Olivia could see Lumiere's design floor, vibrant with collaborative energy, diverse in every sense, united by genuine passion rather than status competition. In the corner, Victoria Ellis directed a quality inspection, her focused expression a stark contrast to her former dismissive hauteur. Beyond the immediate view lay Boston's Riverside district, where construction continued on Lumiere's community workshop. There, those previously excluded from fashion's elite circles would develop their talents under mentors who understood both the industry's potential and its pitfalls. And beyond that, invisible but omnipresent, stretched the industry itself, watching, adapting, responding to the transformation initiated by a woman once deemed unworthy of attention because of her practical clothes and unassuming manner. Olivia returned her attention to the designs spread across her desk, the next iteration of sustainable luxury, the next step in fashion's ethical evolution. The cycle continued, innovation building upon innovation, each season reinforcing the principles she had fought to establish. The transformation sparked by a simple woman thrown out of a fashion show had expanded beyond revenge or vindication into something far more meaningful. Systemic change that opened doors previously sealed shut, that valued contribution over appearance, that recognized brilliance regardless of its packaging. 1 year had passed since Olivia Chen Reynolds revealed herself as the principal shareholder of Lumiere Fashion House. Winter descended on Boston, transforming the harbor into a tableau of muted grays and crystalline whites. From the expansive windows of Lumiere's headquarters, the city resembled a watercolor painting, elegant, restrained, beautiful in its understated way. Olivia stood at those windows, watching snowflakes spiral toward Earth. The building had changed significantly since she'd taken control. The intimidating marble lobby had been redesigned with sustainable materials, reclaimed wood, recycled glass, living walls that improved air quality while reducing carbon footprint. The corporate layout remained sleek, but had softened, spaces designed for collaboration rather than competition. Most significantly, the hallways now displayed photographs documenting Lumiere's journey. Not glossy fashion editorials, but images of artisans at work, of community apprentices mastering new skills, of sustainable manufacturing processes that had transformed the company's environmental impact. Mia Santos approached, stopping beside Olivia at the window. The board's assembled. Quarterly review starts in 5 minutes. Olivia nodded. Thank you, Mia. I'll be right there. She continued gazing at the snow, a small smile playing at her lips. Hard to believe it's been a year that changed everything, Mia noted, following her gaze to the city below. Industry journals are calling it the Lumiere Revolution. Revolution is a strong word for simply doing what's right, Olivia replied, turning away from the window. Let's not keep them waiting. They walked together toward the boardroom, passing workspaces where design teams collaborated on upcoming collections, where marketing strategists developed campaigns focused on transparency, where the expanded sustainability department researched new materials and processes. The boardroom itself had transformed as well. Gone was the imposing mahogany table that had dominated the space, replaced by a circular arrangement crafted from reclaimed timber. The hierarchy implicit in the traditional layout had given way to a design that encouraged equal participation. Board members rose as Olivia entered. Financial officers, creative directors, manufacturing heads, and sustainability experts. Among them sat Daniel Reynolds, who offered his wife a smile that still carried traces of the pride he'd felt watching. Her transformation of Lumiere. Thank you all for coming, Olivia began, taking her seat. Today's agenda covers our year-end results and strategic planning for the coming quarters. But before we dive into numbers, I'd like to acknowledge the anniversary of our new direction." Nods circulated around the table. Everyone present understood the significance of the date. The night Olivia had been humiliated and expelled from the Meridian Center, only to return as the company's true owner. Lumiere's transformation hasn't been merely financial, though our 47% growth certainly validates our approach, she continued. The true measure of our success lies in how we've changed industry standards. 3 competing houses have now adopted our transparency protocols. 5 have launched similar apprenticeship programs. And the waste regeneration technology we developed has been licensed to 17 manufacturers across 3 continents. The board applauded briefly, genuine pride evident in their expressions. Unlike the previous regime, these leaders measured success not just in profit margins, but in lasting impact. Now, Olivia transitioned, let's review the specifics. The meeting proceeded with efficient collaboration. Financial reports were presented, manufacturing challenges addressed, design directions debated. Throughout, Olivia guided rather than dominated, asking incisive questions that revealed her engineering background while remaining open to perspectives that challenged her own. As the meeting concluded, Edgar appeared at the doorway, a tablet in hand. His expression held the particular blend of professionalism and concern that Olivia had come to recognize over the past year. "Miss Chen Reynolds, I apologize for the interruption. There's a situation requiring your attention." Olivia nodded. "We're just finishing. Thank you all." She addressed the board, who began gathering their materials. She joined Edgar in the hallway, Daniel following close behind. "What's happening?" she asked. Edgar handed her the tablet, displaying security footage of the lobby. "Camilla Winters is downstairs. She's requesting to see you." Olivia studied the image with careful neutrality. Camilla, the former fashion director who had orchestrated her humiliation, stood in Lumiere's transformed lobby, barely recognizable. Her once sleek appearance had deteriorated significantly more than Victoria's or Jason's had. Her silver-streaked hair hung limp, her clothing was visibly worn, and her posture conveyed defeat rather than her former imperial bearing. "How long has she been waiting?" Olivia asked. 20 minutes, Edgar replied. Security asked if she had an appointment. When she said no, they followed protocol and contacted me. Daniel studied the footage over Olivia's shoulder. "Looks like Miami didn't work out," he observed, referencing Victoria's information about Camilla working retail for a former client. "Apparently not," Olivia agreed. "Have her escorted to my office, please." Edgar's professional mask slipped, momentarily. "Are you sure that's wise? She was the ringleader of—" "I'm aware of her role, Edgar. Thank you for your concern." Olivia's tone was gentle but firm. "Please offer her tea when she arrives. She appears to have been outside in this weather for some time." As Edgar departed, Daniel regarded his wife with curious eyes. First Victoria, then Jason's teaching position, Rebecca's partnership proposal, and now Camilla. You're systematically encountering everyone who dismissed you that night. "Not by design," Olivia corrected. "They're finding their way back because there are limited paths forward in this industry once you've fallen, especially when you've fallen from the height Camilla occupied." In her office, Olivia arranged several design portfolios on her desk, not as a power play, but to give Camilla something concrete to focus on during what would undoubtedly be a difficult conversation. She selected projects that showcased Lumiere's transformation, the community workshop initiative, the sustainable manufacturing process, the apprenticeship program. A knock announced Camilla's arrival. Edgar opened the door, ushering in the former executive before departing with a concerned backward glance. Camilla Winters stood uncertainly in the center of Olivia's office, clutching a worn leather portfolio that had once been expensive. Up close, the changes in her appearance were even more pronounced. Fine lines etched her face, Her complexion held the pallor of chronic stress, and her hands displayed a slight tremor. "Please, sit," Olivia gestured. To the chair opposite her desk. Camilla sank into it, her movements lacking their former precision. "Thank you for seeing me without an appointment," she began, her voice hoarse. "I wasn't certain I'd make it past the lobby." "Why are you here, Camilla?" Olivia asked, direct but not unkind. Camilla placed her portfolio on the edge of Olivia's desk. "I've been following Lumiere's transformation, the regenerated textile technology, the community initiatives, the ethical manufacturing standards. It's revolutionary." "Thank you," Olivia acknowledged, "but that doesn't answer my question." Camilla's hands twisted in her lap. "The boutique in Miami closed 3 months ago. Economic downturn, they said. I've been trying to secure another position since then, but..." She trailed off, the implication clear. No one would hire the woman who had so publicly embodied fashion's toxic elitism. "I understand Victoria and Jason have found their way back to Lumiere," Camilla continued after gathering herself, "in different capacities than before." Olivia nodded. "Victoria manages quality control in our sustainable manufacturing division. Jason teaches advanced pattern making at our Riverside workshop. Both started in probationary positions and earned their way forward." Camilla's gaze dropped to the floor. "I've brought my portfolio. Not the same work as before, but designs I've created during my time away. They incorporate sustainability principles I learned by following Lumiere's new direction." She slid the worn leather case forward. Olivia opened it carefully, examining pages that revealed a fundamental shift in aesthetic. Where Camilla's previous work had emphasized opulence at any cost, these designs showed thoughtful material choices, zero-waste pattern cutting, and a restrained elegance that relied on structure rather than embellishment. "These are quite different from your previous style," Olivia observed. "Necessity changes perspective," Camilla replied quietly. "When you can no longer afford wasteful luxury, you begin to see the beauty in resourcefulness." Olivia continued reviewing the portfolio, noting techniques that showed genuine innovation despite limited resources. The designs weren't merely good. They showed the evolution of a creative mind forced to reconsider its fundamental assumptions. "Why have you brought these to me specifically?" Olivia asked, closing the portfolio. "There are other fashion houses that might be more welcoming, given our history." Camilla's laugh held no humor. "No fashion house will touch me. I've tried them all, from New York to Paris. The story of that night followed me everywhere. I became a cautionary tale, the executive who couldn't recognize talent when it stood before her." She straightened slightly, summoning dignity despite her circumstances. "But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because Lumiere is doing what I claimed was impossible, proving that sustainable practices can coexist with genuine luxury." "What you've built in a year is remarkable, and she hesitated. "I would like to contribute in whatever capacity you deem appropriate." Olivia studied the woman before her, once the embodiment of fashion's exclusionary culture, now humbled by circumstances she had never imagined facing. "The last time we met," Olivia said evenly, "you called my designs amateur. You approved. When my portfolio was confiscated, you orchestrated my removal from the building." Camilla didn't flinch from these facts. "Yes, and there's no adequate apology for that behavior. I won't insult you by attempting one." "Then what are you offering?" 25 years of industry knowledge, connections that might still respond despite my fall, a design perspective transformed by necessity, and most importantly, a visceral understanding of what happens when fashion values image over substance." Olivia rose, walking to the window where Boston's winter landscape stretched toward the harbor. "Our materials innovation lab needs a liaison between technical development and design application. someone who understands both the creative process and the practical constraints of production. It would require relocating to our Riverside facility, working alongside the manufacturing team and educating apprentices about integrating new materials into design practice. She turned back to Camilla. The position pays considerably less than you earned before. It requires hands-on participation in the manufacturing process, including the unglamorous aspects, and it would place you under the direction of team leaders who were once considered beneath your notice. Camilla absorbed these conditions, her expression revealing the internal calculation of pride against necessity. "I accept these terms," she said finally, "all of them." "There's one more condition," Olivia added. "Before you begin, you'll spend 2 weeks as a participant in our apprenticeship program, learning alongside students entering the industry for the first time. Many come from backgrounds fashion traditionally excludes. You'll share their experiences, their challenges, their perspective." Camilla's composure wavered momentarily. "You want me to be a student again? At my age, my experience level? I want you to remember what it feels like to be judged by appearance rather than ability," Olivia clarified. "To understand the barriers our apprentices face, the same barriers I faced that night at the Meridian Center." Understanding dawned in Camilla's eyes. This wasn't punishment, but education, an opportunity to experience firsthand the exclusion she had perpetuated throughout her career. "When would I start?" she asked, acceptance evident in her tone. "The next apprenticeship cohort begins Monday. Edgar will provide the details." Olivia extended her hand, sealing their agreement with a professional courtesy Camilla hadn't offered her a year ago. "Welcome back to Lumiere, Ms. Winters, in an entirely new capacity." After Camilla departed, Daniel entered Olivia's office, having watched the exchange through the glass wall. "The collection is complete," he observed, settling into the chair. Camilla had vacated, Victoria in quality control, Jason teaching pattern making, Rebecca's sustainable PR partnership, and now Camilla joining the materials lab. "Not quite complete," Olivia corrected, returning to her desk. "Andrew Hoffman remains unaccounted for." "The creative director," Daniel recalled, "the one with the dramatic silver glasses who mocked your amateur sketches. According to industry gossip, he's the only one who hasn't attempted to rebuild his career in fashion," Olivia noted. "Apparently he sold his Manhattan apartment, liquidated his investments, and disappeared from the scene entirely." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Intriguing. Perhaps he took the lesson more seriously than the others. Or perhaps he simply had resources. They lacked," Olivia countered, "financial cushions that allowed him to retreat rather than adapt." Their conversation was interrupted by Edgar, who appeared with their afternoon schedule. The remainder of the day passed in the structured rhythm that had become Lumiere's hallmark under Olivia's leadership: focused creativity, collaborative problem-solving, and the persistent pursuit of better practices. As evening approached, snow continued falling, coating Boston in a pristine layer that softened the city's edges. Olivia completed her final meetings and prepared to depart, gathering design samples for review at home. Daniel had left earlier to oversee progress at the Riverside facility, where construction of the expanded workshop spaces was nearing completion. In the underground parking garage, Olivia approached her car, a practical electric vehicle rather than the luxury status symbol expected of a fashion executive. As she placed her materials in the trunk, a figure emerged from between parked cars, startling her. "Ms. Chen Reynolds," the man said, his voice carrying the slight tremor of someone who had rehearsed this moment. "I apologize for approaching you this way. Olivia recognized him immediately, despite significant changes in his appearance. Andrew Hoffman had abandoned his dramatic silver glasses for subtle wire frames. His former fashionable thinness had given way to a healthier physique. The designer clothes that had once served as his armor had been replaced by simple, functional attire, suitable for Boston's winter. "Mr. Hoffman," she acknowledged, maintaining a careful distance. "This is unexpected." "I know." He remained where he stood, hands visible, posture non-threatening. "Security wouldn't let me pass the lobby without an appointment, and your assistant said your schedule was full for the next 3 weeks. So you decided to wait in a parking garage." Olivia's tone carried a justified wariness. "A decision I recognize as inappropriate," Andrew admitted, "but I'm leaving Boston tomorrow, and I needed to speak with you before I go." Olivia studied him, noting the profound changes beyond mere appearance. The arrogant creative director, who had dismissed her designs with casual cruelty, now stood before her with the humbled demeanor of someone who had undergone a genuine transformation. "5 minutes," she conceded, closing her trunk but keeping her key fob in hand. "Here in the open, please." Andrew nodded, maintaining his distance. "I won't take much of your time. I came to tell you that you changed my life that night at the Meridian Center, though not in the way you might think." "How so?" Olivia asked, her curiosity genuine despite her caution. "When the others began reaching out to contacts, trying to salvage their careers, I decided on a different path. I sold everything: my apartment, my art collection, my investments. I used the proceeds to enroll in environmental science courses at City College." This revelation surprised Olivia. "Environmental science? That's quite a departure from fashion." Andrew smiled faintly. "After witnessing what happened to all of us, how quickly everything we'd built became worthless because we valued the wrong things, I needed to reassess. Fashion had become my identity, my purpose. When that collapsed, I had to find something meaningful beyond seasonal trends and status markers. And you found that in environmental science?" Olivia couldn't hide her skepticism. "I found it in studying the systems we're destroying through industries like the one I championed," Andrew clarified. "Fast fashion, disposable goods, luxury for its own sake. I spent decades promoting practices that fuel environmental degradation." Olivia's wariness began to recede, replaced by careful interest. "That's a significant realization. One that came too late to prevent the damage I've done," Andrew acknowledged, "but not too late to change direction." "And what direction is that exactly?" "I've been accepted to a research program focusing on textile waste management in developing nations," he explained. "My background in fashion materials gives me insight into how these waste streams develop and how they might be diverted. It's not glamorous work, but it's necessary." Olivia absorbed this information, recognizing the authenticity in his transformed purpose. Unlike the others who had sought to re-enter the industry after their fall, Andrew had chosen to address the systemic problems fashion perpetuated. "Why tell me this?" she asked finally. "You could have simply moved forward with your new path." Andrew considered her question carefully. "Because I owed you the completion of the story. Your reveal that night forced me to see how hollow my life had become, how I'd built an identity on exclusion and superficiality. That recognition was painful, but necessary." He glanced toward Lumiere's headquarters, visible through the garage exit. "What you've created here is revolutionary, not just in fashion, but in demonstrating how an industry can transform when led by values rather than vanity. I wanted you to know that your impact extended beyond those you rehired or redirected." Olivia nodded, acknowledging his words. "I appreciate your sharing this, Mr. Hoffman. Your new direction sounds meaningful." "It's simply the right thing to do," Andrew replied, echoing her earlier sentiment to Mia. The research program begins next month in Bangladesh. I leave Boston tomorrow to prepare. He extended a business card, plain white, minimal text listing only his name and a contact email. No titles, no fancy logos, no embossed finish. If Lumiere's sustainability initiatives ever intersect with textile waste management in developing regions, I'd be honored to contribute. Not as a fashion insider, but as someone working to mitigate fashion's environmental impact. Olivia accepted the card, noting how its simplicity reflected Andrew's transformation. I'll keep this in mind. Our Materials Innovation Lab is expanding its focus to include circular economy principles. I've read about that initiative. Quite innovative. Andrew began backing away, respecting the boundaries of their impromptu meeting. Thank you for these minutes, Ms. Chen Reynolds. They provide a better conclusion than our last encounter. After he departed, Olivia sat in her car for several moments, reviewing the unexpected symmetry of Andrew's transformation. Of all her former antagonists, he had taken the most divergent path, not seeking redemption within the industry that had defined him, but finding purpose in addressing the damage that industry caused. That evening, as snow continued transforming Boston into a winter wonderland, Olivia and Daniel dined in their surprisingly modest home. Despite their considerable wealth, they had maintained the same residence they'd occupied before acquiring Lumiere, a comfortable but unpretentious brownstone where Olivia had developed her revolutionary designs. Over dinner, she recounted her parking garage encounter with Andrew, describing his unexpected career change and genuine transformation. So, the final member of the group has resurfaced, Daniel observed, refilling their water glasses. Though, in the least expected way. I find his choice more meaningful than the others, Olivia admitted. Victoria, Jason, Rebecca, Camilla, they're all seeking to rebuild within the system that failed them. Andrew chose to address the system itself. Daniel studied his remarkable wife, still wearing the simple outfit she preferred despite her elevated status. You admire him for that. I respect the authenticity of his response, Olivia clarified. It suggests he understood the deeper implications of what happened that night, not just the personal consequences, but the flawed values that led to our confrontation. She rose, moving to the window where snow continued falling, transforming their garden into a blank canvas. In many ways, his choice represents the most complete transformation. The others are adapting to necessity. Andrew appears to have experienced a genuine change in perspective. Will you connect him with the Materials Lab? Daniel asked, joining her at the window. Perhaps. His background combined with his new focus could provide valuable insights. Olivia turned from the window, retrieving her tablet from the counter. But first, I want to see the work he's actually doing. Words are easy. Sustained action proves sincerity. A quick search revealed Andrew's involvement with several reputable environmental initiatives focused on fashion's impact in developing nations. Publications in modest but respected journals outlined approaches to textile waste management that leveraged his intimate knowledge of the industry's supply chain. He appears to be genuine, Olivia concluded, setting aside her tablet. More so than I expected. Daniel smiled. Just when you think the story has reached its conclusion, it offers one more surprise. The following morning, before sunrise, Olivia stood on their brownstone's small balcony, watching Boston emerge from its blanket of snow. The city glowed with the particular beauty that follows a winter storm, pristine, quieted, transformed by elements beyond human control. Her phone chimed with a message from Edgar, confirming Camilla's orientation schedule for the apprenticeship program. Another notification indicated Victoria had received her performance review, advancing from probationary status to permanent employment. A third message contained Jason's quarterly report on the pattern-making curriculum he'd developed for the Riverside Workshop, showing remarkable results from students previously excluded from fashion education. Each update represented a thread in the tapestry of transformation Olivia had woven since that night at the Meridian Center. Not merely personal redemption stories, but examples of how systems change when values shift, when substance truly transcends surface. Daniel joined her on the balcony, offering a steaming mug of tea. "Contemplating your collection of reformed fashion elitists?" he asked, his tone gently teasing. Olivia smiled, accepting the tea. "Contemplating patterns of transformation. How crisis reveals character, how systems resist change until they can't. How truth eventually surfaces, regardless of the barriers erected to contain it. And how a woman in practical flats and a simple sweater can revolutionize an industry that dismissed her," Daniel added, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Against the morning chill." "That was never the goal," Olivia reminded him. "The goal was creating a fashion house that recognized value beyond appearance. The personal vindication was secondary." "Yet remarkably satisfying," Daniel observed, with a smile. Olivia nodded, acknowledging this truth. "The most satisfying aspect isn't seeing them humbled, but watching them grow." Victoria developing genuine expertise in ethical production, Jason discovering his talent for teaching, Rebecca applying her PR skills to meaningful sustainability messaging, Camilla reimagining design through necessity's lens, Andrew finding purpose in addressing fashion's environmental impact. Each transformation unique, Daniel noted, yet connected by the catalyst of that night. The morning sun crested the horizon, casting golden light across Boston's snow-covered landscape. In the distance, the Riverside district glowed, the nearly completed Lumiere workshop standing as a physical manifestation of the company's transformed values. "I should dress," Olivia said, finishing her tea. "The materials innovation team presents their quarterly findings this morning." Before heading inside, she paused for one final look at the transformed city. Like Boston under snow, Lumiere had been fundamentally altered. Its surface appearance changed to reflect a deeper shift in substance. The fashion house that had once epitomized exclusion and superficiality now stood as an example of how industries could evolve when led by values rather than vanity. The simple woman who had been thrown out of a fashion show hadn't merely returned as its billionaire owner. She had reimagined what ownership meant, not control or status, but responsibility, not dominance, but stewardship of an institution, capable of either reinforcing harmful norms or challenging them. In choosing the latter path, Olivia Chen Reynolds had transformed not just a company, but an industry's understanding of value. She had proven that true worth transcends appearance, that substance outlasts style, and that sometimes the person least expected to change everything is precisely the one who will. As she turned to prepare for the day ahead, Olivia carried this knowledge not as a burden of expectation, but as a quiet certainty that authentic value, once recognized, creates ripples of transformation far beyond its origin point. That sometimes being underestimated is the perfect position from which to exceed every expectation. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.